What up though? Deluise Krueger back again. Now the last time you saw me, I told you we would be putting together a couple pair of shoes, trying to get my shoes together using my Angelus paint. Well, in this episode, we are going to be trying to restore these fire red Jordan 3s, originally released in 2007. As you can see, the midsoles are cracked up. You know, the paint kind of dingy on the rest of the shoe, but my main concern is these midsoles. You see that they are scraped up, so we're gonna have to fix that. And they both look just as bad. So yeah, we're gonna have to fix that little smudge right there, strip the paint off and repaint all of that. Try to brighten up the yellowing on the back tab there, clean up the outsoles, get everything, try to make them look like I just bought them from the store. And in order to achieve that, we will be using first the Reshoevn8r Ultimate Sneaker Cleaning System. This comes with shoe trees, the towel, a soft brush, a hard brush, a medium-sized brush. This is to scrub the shoes. You do the shoes, the midsoles, everything, get them crispy. You can even put them in the washing machine. So after we use that to get them all scrubbed up, then we're going to paint them using this stuff here. Start with the deglazer to strip the paint off, and then we got the white paint, the fire red paint, black, and the matte acrylic finisher, and my set of paint brushes. Now, side note, the fire red paint from Angelus, I've come to understand that it's not an exact match to the fire red on the Jordans, so I had to look around and experiment a little bit to find an exact match. But don't worry, when we get to that point, I'll cover it and I'll let you know what worked. So stay tuned. We're gonna start off with cleaning the shoes, so let's get into it. Alright, so it's been a couple days. I left them down here to dry out, and then before I restarted the video, I went ahead and prepped these up first, taped them up and stripped the paint off, and as you can see, it came out pretty clean. So now that I know how to do it, I'm gonna do these. What I did, I tried using my thumb to scrape it off, but that didn't really work. So I just used a pair of tweezers and I scraped off as much as I could, and once it was pretty smooth and wouldn't come off anymore, just went on and taped them up. And I took the deglazer and just went to work. It came right off. So here we go. come out as clean as the other pair, but for the most part I got it down to the factory finish. It's nice and smooth. So we're gonna let this dry out. In the meantime, I'm gonna get started painting on these. So I'm gonna get set up in a more comfortable spot and we'll pick this back up. So we got the shoes all prepped up and ready to go. And got them all taped up. On this one, the paint didn't come out as cleanly as I would like it to. Kind of bled into the midsole. I think a couple extra coats of paint should, you know, cover that up quite nicely. So we're gonna start off with the number 10 flat brush and white paint. Alright, so after letting the paint dry overnight, we back to put the second coat of white on. It dried up pretty good. So we'll put the second coat on and it'll be one step closer to being done. So let's get to it. Alright, so as I was putting the second coat of paint on the other shoe, the camera ran out of footage. So I just went on and put it on there, and now they're dry. So they look pretty good, but a lot of this is going to remain white. This bottom piece here and the inside is going to stay white. And I just want that to be crispy. It looks good enough now. Well, no, actually it doesn't. It looks good. But I'm going to put a third coat of white on it just to make it look better. So let's do it. Alright, so after the third coat of white paint, I set them outside to dry for about maybe 2 hours. It's a nice day out, nice and warm, kind of sunny. So I put them out there and let them dry. 3 coats later, and you see they look pretty good. And I already taped off the parts. I'm ready to do the white, I'm ready to do the red. So I taped off the parts that won't be getting painted. And yeah, it looks pretty good so far. So As I mentioned earlier, I read that the Angelus Fire Red is not 100% match to the Fire Red on the shoes, so I looked around and played around, and I mixed up mixed up a little bit of pink. You know, I just took a couple of drops of red, maybe a 3-to-1 ratio, or 2-to-2 actually, red and white. Or you just want to mix it up till it looks nice and bright. And then I'm going to put a layer of the pink on here, and then after that dries, we're going to put some of the red on to lay it down. So let's get started. Alright, so we got the layer of pink on there. It's looking pretty smooth. We're going to let it dry out and see how it looks. And then that'll let us know if we need to do a second coat or not. So I'm going to sit these back outside and let them dry off some more. And we'll be back. Okay, so after I put the first layer of pink on and I let it dry, came out pretty smooth. So that looks pretty good. Not bad, right? So from here, I think we're just gonna go ahead and just do our red. Alright, so we got the first coat of red on there, and as you can see, it came out pretty nice. The pink helped it stick pretty good. So we're gonna let these dry for a couple hours, and we'll pick it up after that. Alright, so we back. It's been about a week now since I was able to get down here and mess with them, or mess with the camera, but I put a second coat of paint, second coat of red on them. I don't know, I think it looks pretty good. A little closer to the camera. You know, that looks pretty good. It's not an exact match to the red on this part, but I don't know, it's close. And then it's the right shoe. Now, on this shoe, I know that when I was painting it, the paint skipped somewhere up in here and it bled down. I'm gonna have to go in and tape that up. But alright, so I'm ready to take the tape off, see how they came out. Let's start with this one. Alright, so as you can see, we got a few spots on here where the paint bled. A little bit of white got onto the elephant cement print. A little red dripped down onto the white back here, on some over here. Got a couple of touch-ups we got to do up here on the top part of the mid, so where the tape was covering, I gotta go in and clean that up. Of course, I have to fix this little piece, but overall I would say that's not bad for my first time. I don't know, let's see how the other one came out. Alright, this one came out a little better in some parts. Still, we gotta go across the top. Gotta go across the top part up here. Clean up those edges. Got a little bit of blemish right there. Got a little bit of a bleed right there I have to fix. Some bleed down here on this side, some back here. A little bit in the back. But like I said, they don't look bad. After some touch-ups, let me see. Alright, so the touch-ups, I'm not gonna record it. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it as I can do it over time, and then at the end I'll go through the process, what I did, and list the steps or whatever, just to be helpful. But I'm gonna just go ahead and get these together in my spare time, and then we'll see how they turn out. Alright, so we back now after doing all the touch-up work on them. You can see the midsole is looking pretty good. Still got the tape in there. I'm gonna take that out at the end. I painted over the elephant cement print. It was looking kind of ashy, so I went on and painted over it. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. When I did the elephant print, I used a coat of dark gray, did the whole shoe, let it dry. Then I went over it with the flat black, then went over it one coat of the dark gray. First a coat of dark gray, and then a coat of flat black. And then after it dried, I went in and did the cracks with the dark gray again. So that's that. Went through, cleaned up all the runoff spots. You see it's a little bit of, like when I peeled the tape off, the paint kind of globbed up right there. I didn't want to try to peel it off and mess it up, so whatever. But yeah, they looking pretty good. I gotta go in and clean off like these loose tabs, these little frayed hairs and stuff like that. Go in there and get that. So the next thing I'm gonna do is tape up the shoe, and then I'm gonna try to put the Sole Bright on the back tab and on the outsoles, like right here on the toe box, on this gray piece. You know what I'm saying? You can tell it's like way off from the rest of the white. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna pause it, tape these boys up, and then we're gonna come back and do the Sole Bright. So alright, stay tuned. Alright, we're here early morning while we got a lot of sunlight, ready to add the Angelus Sole Bright. We gotta do front tabs, front soles, all up there, doing these, the bottoms, and then the back tabs, both shoes. Alright, so to start off, I'm going to be using the number 2 round brush to do the little fine areas in there. And I think I'm gonna use probably the number 6 filbert to do the other areas. And on the bottom, we're gonna use the number 10 flat. Alright, so without further ado, here we go. first shoe. You got the first coat of Sole Bright, and then you wrap it in the plastic wrap. And now we're gonna sit this in the sun and do the other one. Be right back. So I got the Sole Bright first layer. First coat is on. Got them wrapped in the plastic wrap and they sitting out in the sun. We're gonna let them sit out here for about 2 hours and see how they look after that. So, yep. Hopefully this damn plastic wrap stay on them. Alright. We are back 2 hours later after I put the first application of Sole Bright on them. The sole, the outsole, it's a lot cleaner than it was, a lot brighter. It's probably hard to see in this light. I brought them in and cleaned them up. You gotta rinse off and clean off the excess Sole Bright. This little pink stain, I ain't gonna worry about that. That happened when I was painting them. But overall, the front sole is a lot cleaner than it was. The gray on the back is a lot brighter than it was. The bottom of the shoe is pretty bright. But the sole, the heel tabs, still a little bit yellow. You see this one came out similar. You know, it's pretty bright. Nice and cocaine white, crispy. But like I said, you know, the bottom came out pretty good. I wasn't really worried about the bottom anyway. So who's gonna be looking at the bottom? But the soles, I mean, yeah, the outsoles came out pretty good, but the back tab's still a little bit yellow. So I'm gonna do another application of Sole Bright and put them back out in the sun for another hour or two, see how they hold up, and we'll be back. Here we are, everybody. We finally made it to the end of the project, and I'm happy to say I'm glad with the way they turned out. As you can see, I mean, it's still a few little minor blemishes or whatever here and there, but for the most part, yeah, they almost look new. I say for the first time job, you know, I never did a pair of shoes before, and these were fairly busted, but you know, I think they came out pretty good. So the shoe came out pretty good. It didn't come out perfect. I still got work to go, and you know, ways to go, and I still got work to do, but I'll get better as I practice with it. It's my very first time ever trying to paint a shoe and bring it back to life, and I say I did a fairly good job. I give it a 7 out of 10. I left some blemishes on it just to give it some character. Like I said, I got these in 2007, so I wasn't really trying to make them look brand new like I just bought them. I just want them to look good and wearable, and I think they do. So, alright, stay tuned for the next video. Peace.